But also, I feel really awkward and bad and like I've disrespected your culture. They're like, you don't want to pee here. Okay, the next one is not so good. It actually devastated me. So today, let's talk Japan. I finally, in my life, got to go to Japan for the very first time. I went to Asia for the very first time. I went east for the very first time. Visiting Japan to me was like visiting the United States. It was a dream, it was a goal, and I wanted to do it on my terms. But wait, who am I? I'm Diane, I'm an Irish girl from Ireland. I like to go to other countries and observe their cultures, do my usual thing, wander around, stare at stuff, ask questions that nobody else is asking. Like, why do they do that? Why is that there? How is it so? None of your cliches here, we're talking weird and wonderful. The funny thing about visiting Japan as an Irish person was a lot of people in Japan didn't even know what Ireland was or where it was. You'd say Ireland and they would say Holland. And then I was trying to think of a point of cultural reference that they might know. And I don't think they know Patrick's Day. Guinness, that was a way in sometimes. But my goodness, there were so many things in Japan that were just weird and wonderful, and I want to tell you all about them today. And Japan is bonkers, beautifully bonkers. Okay, so the first thing you probably are somewhat acquainted with is technology. However, there's something they didn't tell me about. You hear Japan and you think cutting edge, their toilets could fly a plane. But then you check into a hotel and the light switches look like something from 1978. And the remotes are bigger than your hand and have 84 buttons. The best way I can think of describing it is like somebody in the 80s made a movie about the future, and this was the technology they imagined. That's like the aesthetic. So when I think technology, I think touch screens and lots of glass, shiny things, but they're very into their knobs, their old school buttons, switches, heavy plastic. I actually love it, but it's also disorienting. You expect touch screens, and yes, there are touch screens, but also you'll get what looks like a fax machine operating the kettle. And I will get into the whole plastic thing another day, but that's another video. The next thing that was like so kooky to me was the display food. Okay, so when you go to Japan, obviously there's a language barrier. So not only are there things that you culturally wouldn't understand English to English, there's a whole different language, as well as the fact that their letters for alpha numerical things are totally different. So Japanese businesses, like restaurants, have come up with this wonderful idea of display food. Almost every restaurant has a window full of fake food. And it's not Play-Doh or cartoony stuff. It's actually like art. So yes, you will get a picture on the menu, but also outside a lot of restaurants, they have a physical piece showing you exactly what your meal will look like. And it got me wondering, like, there's obviously a whole industry that makes the fake food. And apparently it's called sampuru. Sampuru? I do apologize for my pronunciation. But it's an art form. It helps people know what they're ordering without needing an English or even a Japanese menu. And I totally understand it, but also I kind of would like to like get up close and touch one. They're usually behind like glass. Oh, while you're down there, and if you haven't, do subscribe. Or next time you're eating a sandwich, you'll be wearing your favorite shirt with somewhere important to go. You'll drip relish on it. Just saying, it's a choice. The next thing that I actually thought was super cool was baby pods for nursing mothers, but also I'm very curious, and as not a nursing mother, I didn't really get to get too up close with them. It's actually lovely. Malls and train stations have these pods all around the place in case you are doing the booby feeding with your breasticles and you don't want everyone in the world to see your titties. They're just for me and my selected loved ones. And also the whole of the onsense, but that's a video for another day. But these places are proper booths with comfy little chairs and soft furnishings. And that's the kind of thing they can have in Japan. Like, nobody's gonna go in there and rob the cushions. You can put your phone down on a table and nobody's gonna take it. But they're very ambient. They have like lovely smells inside and lovely lighting. I did have a little peekaboo. I would imagine there are like different tiers of them. Like, some might be better than others, but the ones that I saw, they were amazing. In fact, I was kind of going, could I just opt to have a little nap in one if I was super tired? I would imagine it's frowned upon. But seriously, some of these little pods are bigger than places I've lived. And major kudos to the Japanese, because that's a great idea. Obviously, you don't need it till you need it. Okay, the next one is not so good. It actually devastated me. Devastated. There's no Diet Coke.
What is this place?
Well, if you look really, really hard, you can find it, but it's not like an option on every menu or any diet drinks for that matter. I don't drink alcohol that much recreationally. Oh, is that too much? But I will always have a Diet Coke, nay Coke Zero, or a Diet Pepsi. I'm not a snob about it, but it's always one of the diet sugar-free drinks. People often get on me about this because I'll be having mounds and mounds of mukbang food, and then everyone will be like, but Diane, you're getting a Diet Coke, that's so stupid. bad for your teeth. That's what my mom told me. But in Japan, Diet Coke, she's gone. Turns out diet is a weird word in Japan. See, obesity isn't really a thing over there. It's one of the few first world places that it's just not a factor. And the word diet implies something medical or extreme to people in Japan. They prefer things marketed as 0 calorie. So Coke Zero, you're more likely to find, or in the mounds and mounds and mounds of vending machines that I'm sure you've heard about, unless it's less zany than mine. You can find Diet Coke if you look hard enough. Actually, there was a really weird high fiber Diet Coke, which was mental. Loved it. Great idea. Don't have that problem myself. Have I just overshared? I can't imagine there's a market for it, let's say. But anyway, I was not coping well. I resorted to ginger ale in most places in Japan as a substitute because I don't think there is diet ginger ale, but it was weird because that became my Japan drink. This next one was so strange and I think I found the explanation to it, but you can correct me in the comments if I'm not bang on. Next is steps that are actively hostile. So a lot of places in Japan, completely opposite to my visits to America, are very small, very petite, like the people. So within a small space, they will fit a steep staircase. Stairs in Japan are extremely shallow or aggressively vertical. I don't know what building code they use, but at times it did feel personal as I would trip up my 5th step of the day. I climbed one temple where the steps were so steep I thought that I would fall backwards and descend into a previous life. And the Japanese people, they just sprint up them in sensible shoes. There's me questioning my life choices and they're like, I did get the tip of bringing comfy shoes, which... The next one is so specific and I'm really going to endeavor to explain it as well as I possibly can. So we've all heard the Japanese are very polite. And yes, I'm using air quotes. It's the 90s. They are polite, but manners are about rules, not comfort. As an Irish person, this is directly oppositional to how we do manners. In Ireland, manners are about making people feel more comfortable. Even if someone messes up the etiquette, we will laugh and smooth things over and tell them it's no big deal. You make a joke or a polite lie. You lie! In Ireland, nothing is any bother. Everything's totally fine. Ham and breezy. In Japan, on the other hand, manners are about etiquette and doing it correctly. If you break a rule, like standing on the wrong side of an elevator or talking in public loudly, actually, that was interesting. People do talk on their phone and to each other on trains and stuff. I was led to believe it doesn't happen, but they do. It's just like more quiet. But if you do it wrong, someone will let you know. And to me, that's an interesting contradiction because as an Irish person, that does not feel mannerly. It feels like scolding. Now, their voices are soft and gentle when they tell you you're doing it wrong, but also I feel really awkward and bad and like I've disrespected your culture. And you're going to get things wrong because you're in a different place, no matter how many websites you look up about the manners. And you do want to respect the culture and do everything properly, so it makes you feel really, really bad. And yes, we may not understand it, but we gotta try and respect it. Like tipping in the US, I don't fully understand it, but I'm gonna do it when I'm there because that's what you do in America. But yeah, it was interesting how not backwards about coming forward the Japanese are when you do it wrong. The next is the vehicles look like they've traveled from a time vortex. They are so old-fashioned. Not all of them, but like I would say 2/3 of them. They are old school cars, old. Boxy little cars from the 80s with lace seat covers. Several of them had frilly curtains. And all the drivers wear white gloves like they're in a Wes Anderson movie. It's charming and slightly eerie.
So basically the Japanese have a thing called kintsugi where they like to take an old thing and fix it rather than buy something new, you know? Buy, like in the West, consumerism. Some things just need a glow up, you know?
The next thing that felt really weird, like literally felt weird. Instead of napkins, you will get wet towelettes. Sometimes if you're in a fancy place, they will be warm, but mostly they're just in like a little plastic packet and you'll open it and it's like a wet wipe. And sometimes this felt like really refreshing and nice, but then other times I was like, I want a dry napkin. I want a dry napkin. Not a thing there, really. I'm sure there are places that give you napkins, but the entire time I was there, I was never given a napkin, just moist towelettes. The next thing is how orderly the queuing is. I know you've heard Japan is orderly, but you need to know how orderly. And it's to do with giving out numbers for every queue. So I figured this out within the first 24 hours. You'll go somewhere like a stand with food and you'll be wanting to get something, and I'll stand in the queue and I'll be standing there for like 10-15 minutes and going, why are other people getting served first? And then I figured it out. There's like little ticket machines everywhere and they have your number on them, and your number is your place in the queue, or line if you're American, your place in line. Very different to the Spanish, where queues and lines are not a thing. Pharmacies, ice cream shops, bakeries. You can tell where my priorities were on this trip. It's structure. And it's kind of nice because you don't then have to stand in one place the whole time. You can move around and nobody's breathing down your neck. Generally, you do stand in some kind of order, but you can, like, you know, the way sometimes if you're in a queue and you're afraid of like going this way or that way in case you lose your place, it's okay because you have your number. Definitely something I think we should adopt in the West. Made it a lot handier, and you did have to queue for a lot of stuff in Japan. Next up, bikes on the footpath with no warning. There are bike lanes everywhere in Japan, and yet everybody cycles on the footpath and nobody gives out to them. So there's a time where the mannerly nobody gives out. It seems to be the acceptable thing, and it is a little bit scary because people go quite fast. And I didn't have himself on the trip with me, but if I did, I'd be worried about a bike flying into him. And yet I didn't see anybody have any accidents. Maybe the Japanese are just better at keeping an eye out for stuff. Nobody had any accidents that I could see. But also there is a system to walking. It's the same as the road system. Everybody stands to one side walking one way and the other side walking the other way. And it's the same on elevators and everything, which is nice if you're in a hurry because you can just like overtake everyone. So yeah, Japan is beautiful, weird, and wonderful, and I'm only just getting into it. And finally, the number one thing. Bottles of water everywhere. And they're not for you to just have a little sup, as far as I know. You will see lines and lines of mounds and mounds of bottles of water just placed sporadically around the place on the ground. And they're not for human hydration. They are cat deterrents, or bug deterrents, or dog pee deterrents. But mostly cats. The theory is that cats don't like their reflection, so when they see their reflection in the water, they're like, don't want to pee here. They also don't like light retraction, but that's a whole science thing. But still, people in Japan do this regularly. Obviously, it must work to some extent, or they wouldn't do it. Mad stuff. So yeah, Japan is beautiful, weird, and wonderful, and I've just started. Even when it makes no sense to me, I love how committed they are to everything. Do join me for the rest of this little rant tour, and also fun adventures that I had while I was over there. You can see behind the scenes stuff over on patreon.com/Diane Jennings, and get extra bonus videos over there too. Speaking of which, shout out today to a couple of patrons.
Our first shout out today comes from Brian Ediger, and he wants to shout out all folks who are farmers or those who work with farmers. He says, thank you for making sure we have all the food we need to survive. Very thoughtful. Thank you so much, Brian. Next up, Ricky Carey celebrated his birthday this month. This is him showing off the cheesecake he got. Ricky is sending joyful vibes to everyone and says he hopes you're all having lots of fun and treating yourselves, as well as your friends and family. He also wants to say a big shout out to the Patreon community and the Discord community. He says it's great to join and chat with everyone. Thank you so much and happy birthday again, Ricky. And last but certainly not least, we have Jason Moyer. His shout out this month goes to everyone celebrating Mother's Day on May the 11th. Jason says, regardless if your mother is still with us or has passed on, he says take a moment to let her know how much you appreciate everything she has done for you over the years. Thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you so much, guys. That's it for Lacey on the other side. Did you get out of your bed when you knew Mommy was finished talking? Yes, I know how your script goes. He does.